August 13, 2024 at 7:10. The board previously met in closed session under exception C1, C11, and C21. With that, I'd like a roll call.
Mr. McBride.
Yes.
Ms. Fabian.
Present.
Ms. Gonzalez.
Here.
Mr. Riddle.
Present.
Ms. Hannah.
Yes.
Ms. Lensing.
Here.
President Ewing.
Here, we do have all board members present, so we have quorum. With that, I'd like a motion to resume open session.
So moved.
Motion by
Second.
Mr. Riddle, second by Ms. Lindsay. All in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? All right, we are now in open session. Mr. Kirkwood, if you be so kind as to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, President's report. So I start off by saying welcome. School is back in full swing in District 60, so we are excited. I know there's been a lot of different days and events and things going on at all of the buildings, and so we appreciate all of those efforts. Was able to welcome back our all staff last Friday, and I was really impressed with everything and everybody who helped put that together. I did just want to make some remarks, but at just the end of it, that as we move forward into this new school year, let's remember the importance of connectedness, which was the theme. Let's support one another so that we can be there for our students. Let's draw on the strength of our diverse community, knowing that by coming together, we can overcome any challenge. And let's honor the legacy of those who came before us, who believed in the power of education to transform lives. So I thank each of you for your dedication, for your compassion, and your commitment to our students. Here's to a year of growth, connection, and success. So I know the first week of school is always a lot of changes. Everything doesn't work, right? Bus schedules are still being worked out, so have a little bit of grace. But I do appreciate the efforts that went into making sure that the schools were a welcoming environment. So I know that there were a lot of different efforts. Parents have been invited in. I know that there were men who attended the Brookside Welcome Back. Those are things that we want to continue to see throughout the year, is because we want to make sure that our students know that we stand behind them, beside them, and with them as a community. I know that Ms. Hannah has requested to speak, right, to the students to make sure that she and other board members have the opportunity to encourage them and welcome them back as well. And the superintendent will be following up just on when and what that will look like. But I do think that as we go into this new school year, we have an opportunity to do some things differently. And what we want to do is make sure that we are putting the needs of our students first. So I'm excited for the school year. I'm excited for all the opportunities and possibilities that we have in this next year. And so with that, we do have one of our student board members who's present. We have Miss Brianna, but Melanie is out. So with that, I'd like to turn it over for our student board member report. And then if you want to grab the mic off, and then you can stand up because they can't see you behind the podium.
We're so happy school year.
Oh yeah, that's your remarks. Go ahead, whenever you're ready.
What can I say though?
This.
Whatever you want.
Whatever you want to say, just welcome everybody.
Or if you don't have anything to say.
Oh, you got something to say. Just say it.
Hello and welcome back to another school year. I'm really excited for this school year and all the opportunities that I have or that are going to come to me, like especially this big opportunity here being at the board. And I'm really excited to see what I can change for the district this year.
Thank you. All right, and that's what we'll be looking to. So as you are there, as you are finding things that are working that you like, celebrate those things that you want to see changed or that your students are bringing to you. Let us know. And then I know the superintendent has her student advisory council, so that should be kicking off soon as well. We did lose monitors. We are now at District 60 and 60, so if you guys will turn your attention to the screens.
Good morning from Glenwood Elementary, the home of the Tigers, where great scholars attend, and we're here for all of them.
Well, like every school year, it's a new beginning. So what excites me is seeing the kids come and they're all excited about meeting their teachers, looking at what classes they'll be taking this year, the new renovations to our buildings. It's just a great time to be in Waukegan and welcome our staff back and our students.
Hi everyone, so excited to start this new school year here at John Lewis Middle School. We have a lot of great things planned for our students. I'm just most excited to get everyone learning. We have some good plans for the classroom, some new curriculum, our iReady system, and we've done a lot of work before school started on making everyone feel welcome.
The thing I'm most excited about for the new school year is to watch everyone grow.
Like I say, every year we get a little better, and I want our parents to really trust in what we do for their students. We also encourage students to give their very best, because that's what I expect of my staff, as well as myself.
We spent a lot of times working on building community, so I think students will notice that their classrooms feel more like community and we'll have great support for them here at school.
I'm excited to say we have some new curriculum for our reading. We are determined to make sure all of our students are readers.
I wish you guys all good luck and hope y'all have a great school year.
You will see new facility upgrades, you'll see new parking lots, you will see new furniture. The JROTC program will now be located in our AOEC facility. You will also see that we have a new IB school here in Waukegan. It is the first designated IB school in Lake County. We are so proud to be home of that. We also have a Blue Ribbon School, McCall, that received its recognition a few years back. So there's going to be many, many, many great things that are happening this year in Waukegan Public Schools.
So as I mentioned, welcome back, and we are started to get into the swing of things. So we have our next item, approval of previous minutes. So item 8A, approval of the minutes for the open session meeting of June 25th, 2024.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Riddle.
Second.
Second by Ms. Fabian. Any comments, questions, corrections to the minutes? All in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Minutes are approved. We now have our opportunity for public comment. So if we can bring that sheet forward. As a reminder, each speaker gets 3 minutes. This is your opportunity to address the board. It is a one-way conversation, so the board will not and should not respond. We do want to respond all speakers of civility. I also want to mention that if you need translation services will be provided for you, and you will get an additional 3 minutes for a total of 6. We do ask that you refrain from mentioning student and staff member names in your remarks. I'm going to call 3 names at a time. If I mispronounce your name, please correct it at the podium. First name, I believe, is Cynthia McMillan, Dr. Linnell Brown, and Ray Vukovic. So those are the 3 names in that order. Whenever you're ready.
Good evening, everybody. I'm coming here because last year my granddaughter went to this school and there was a very big, bad drug problem. I would like to know that she won't have that problem this year, and the drug problem happened in the bathroom. If the kids go to the bathroom, somebody should be supervising these kids. There's no way in the world that I don't smoke and I go in the bathroom and I gotta smell smoke. Also, if I'm at the games and stuff, people should not be able to smoke around these kids. That's disrespectful. Another thing that I had that was bad is the dress code. Wearing pajamas to school. If we're teaching these kids from freshmen, on up, when they get ready to get a job, they're not going to know how to present themselves because this is how they are. And also, it's not a good look when they're walking home. You got perverts looking at them. And you also got people in the school slapping the kids where they shouldn't be slapped. So what I'm asking is we can change the drug problem that we have. Like if you catch the kids on drug, do you send them to the counselor? Like do they go to a drug counselor? Like Because why are you smoking drugs at this young age? What are you doing about that? And also, I would like to know, can you change some of the dress code? I know you can't change everything, but pajamas going to school, that's not presentable. Me wearing lingerie, that's not presentable. We should be covered up because you can be just as cute covered up as you can. And then we're teaching these kids a different route in life. So I don't know how many times I have to keep coming down here, but I will keep coming down here until hopefully you guys can do something about it. Because the drug problem, if I'm starting out with the vape, then I go to weed, what is it going to be next? And I'm only 14, 15, 16, and 17. So I'm not here to cause a problem. I'm just here because my granddaughter is very special to me. And if she's going to be in sports or anything, I don't want her to fall out because she's on drugs. And it's just not for my child, it's for any other child. So school should not be a place that they come and get high. School should be an educational place. And it seems like when you're watching it social media, everything happens at school in the bathroom. So all I'm asking is maybe you can have security get in the bathroom with them kids, time they go in the bathroom. They shouldn't have no privacy because they let you know that they don't know how to respect privacy. Thank you.
Thank you. Whenever you start speaking, Dr. Brown, your time will begin.
Hi, I'm Dr. Linnell Brown, and my issue that I'm here to present today is the start of a new physical school year. So the process of getting my children, I have 7 children in the district, between my children, my grandchildren, and foster children that I'm caring for. And I have had the worst nightmare getting things squared away, especially with the busing and things of that nature. But I'm more so concerned about the people that I'm entrusting my children to. What are you putting into my children? You said in your opening statement that we want to collaborate and work together to help build the students up. I don't see collaboration. I've left many messages, and I get messages that, or when I finally do get a human, I get messages that tell me, I'll call you back, or someone will, they're busy, they can't talk. How do I feel as a customer? I feel devalued as a parent. So if you're putting this in me as a 53-year-old male, what are you putting in my kid? So I'm challenging everybody, especially even this board. You have to lead by example. What does that mean, Dr. Brown? Well, I'll explain it to you. Well, we stress to our children, because I get many phone calls about it, about being punctual, being on time. It's important, but your meeting started 10 minutes late. So if you can't lead by example, you might need to rethink that strategy. So I'm concerned about the images that you're portraying to my children about being collaborative, working together, but as a parent, I'm receiving the exact opposite. I don't get phone calls back. I have to make multiple calls. These people downstairs are tired of seeing me because I come in and out. I have to take time off to make a visit. I even tried a different route by requesting to get on the person that's in charge of transportation's calendar. I asked for a calendar, and I was told, well, you can try back tomorrow. Maybe you'll get lucky. I asked for a calendar. I wanted to be booked on a calendar, and I wasn't even afforded the opportunity to do that. I felt like I was reduced lower than I know I am. So if that's how you're treating me, I'm challenging you to ensure that you're not treating my children the same way, because they deserve better. I got 2 out of the 7 that are being pulled out of the district because the people that are in charge of them are not comfortable. Or the people that are in charge of me that are in charge of them, they're not comfortable. That impacts the district. When you lose students, it impacts your budget. So what's important? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Brown. Mr. Vukovic.
Good evening. Yesterday was the first day of school. School opened based on a calendar that you all approved, a year, maybe 2 years ago. So everybody knew yesterday was the first day of school. Yet it's my understanding that there were high school students that didn't have IDs. It's my understanding that at 8 o'clock yesterday morning, staff at the high school received an email that the high school was out of copy paper. 8 a.m. on the first day of school. Poor planning. It's my understanding, 2 weeks ago, everybody here was clapping about the officer that got the national award. My understanding is the officers aren't in the schools. Now, you all knew that there was going to be an issue with this here. You talked about it when you approved it last year. You let it get right up to the end, and now you don't have the officers in the school, or you didn't take the vote to say, no, we don't want it. You should have made a public decision on that one time or another. You let the teachers go 6 months without a contract until you finally got a contract. It was a good contract, but you lost teachers because they weren't sure what was coming. When it's the superintendent's contract, my God, you jump over backwards, you have special meetings, you got to have it done before the contract expires. But when it comes to other things, you guys let it fall by the wayside. Speaking of the high school, 8 years now. 8 years we've been redoing the high school under this superintendent. It's like a revolving door of leadership there, and rebuilding and rechanging and this and that. And sir, you talk about leading by example. It's my understanding that there's at least one, maybe two people up on this board, on the group here, that have students that should be a freshman at that school that have chosen to send them elsewhere. You talk about leading by example. If you don't believe in what you're doing up there for everybody else's kids, and you don't do it for yours, you need to leave immediately. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vukovic. Aurora Flores Gaitan, Shauna Hanna, and Randy Sabecki are the next three names in that order.
Hello, good evening. My name is Aurora Flores Gaitan. I'm a proud resident of Waukegan and a product of the Waukegan public school system, having been a student here from kindergarten through high school. Tonight I'm also here as part of the North Chicago think tank, a liberation-centered and strongly pro-Black and pro-Indigenous collective. Today, I want to continue the discussion initiated by my friends William Coleman and Bruce Wright. At the last board meeting, they presented 4 critical demands I want to echo regarding the Black Male Achievement Initiative. The first demand was for information on future community thinking sessions. We need parent engagement beyond the single thinking session held last December, which is insufficient for capturing the depths of what Black male achievement means to Black families in Waukegan. You need an open and ongoing dialogue for Black youth and parents to continuously define and redefine what indicators of success looks like to them. The second demand was for details on the comprehensive program. It's essential that we receive a detailed and digestible plan for the Black Male Achievement Initiative for this school year. Given the budget and performance goals established last year, it's crucial that we see measurable steps, concrete dates, and outcomes. I hope we see this reflected in today's presentation. The third demand was for clarification on how you'll keep the program Black-centered. Who's involved in the planning and goal-setting process? Are Black males being intentionally included in these discussions, or are you overgeneralizing to males of color? The success of our district is directly linked to the success of our Black students. It's imperative that we be specific about who on the margins we must bring to the center to address the current gaps this program allegedly intends to. The fourth and final demand was for an effective communication plan. The Black Male Achievement Initiative claims to value parents as empowered and informed partners in their child's education. However, we've seen a disconnect even with parents like Bruce who made efforts to engage, receiving an inadequate response on your behalf. Your communication plan must also go beyond engaging those who are already involved and reach out to parents who may face more barriers to proactively reaching out. We are only as strong as our most vulnerable. I look forward to seeing more tangible steps and information on that today. And also, separately to that, while I was sitting in the audience waiting, I heard from audience members just like some casual transphobic conversation. I really hope that our district is doing more to create a climate on district grounds that prevents people from feeling comfortable having that kind of dialogue around here. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Flores Gaitan. Next name, Shauna Hanna.
Good evening, board and superintendent. I have a couple of things. Just welcome back to a new school year. Hopefully everything is in order, that we have a smooth start and going on without problems and things like that. I want to know what is going on. What are the plans to stop the fights at the high school? Those things have been plaguing us as problems in the past. And what is in place to stop or fights won't be stopped at high school, but what plans are in place to intervene? What kind of conflict resolution is going on with students to help them resolve conflicts instead of fighting in the district? And I hope that the reports from safety staff about fights and upcoming fights and things are taken seriously, because to my knowledge, safety staff gets these reports and they hear things from the students that fights are going to take place, and they bring them to the higher ups, and they're not taken seriously, and then the fights occur when there could be intervention to stop them. So I hope the reports are taken seriously, because right now, from what I understand, they're not. The next thing, I sat in a town hall meeting about a month ago, maybe a little more, and you guys talked about the Grow Your Own program. I was approached by someone that I didn't know, and they noticed me from coming to the podium and speaking here. And this person has worked in the district for 5 years. Well, worked in the district for 5 years. Previous to, while they were working here, they used the tuition reimbursement and that to further their education. They got a degree in social work. This person did an internship at the high school in social work. When the position was available, they applied, they interviewed, and they were not hired. So I would like to know what the Grow Your Own program is, because for me, that is textbooked on what Grow Your Own is. You had somebody that advanced themselves, education, furthered their education, wanted to stay here, but they are pouring into another district when we have a shortage of social workers here in the district. I don't understand. So I'm asking for someone to reach out to me and explain, or even on the podium, explain what the Grow Your Own program is, because that to me did not make any sense at all. And as I stand here, it still doesn't make sense. As I'm talking about it, it's unfathomable. And I hope that there's a commitment from the board members. There's 7 of you guys sitting here, that you guys commit to extracurricular activities and showing your faces with these programs that happen within our district, because a lot of times they go unattended by board members, and you guys choose to be there. I hope you guys can show up and support.
Thank you, Ms. Hannah. Randy Sabecki.
Good evening, everyone. Since we didn't do it, I'll take some of my time and ask this board if we can have a moment of silence for a pillar of this community that we lost and a former president of this board, Fernando Shipley. Thank you. Second, laptops. That's on the thing for approval tonight, phase 2. So we've ordered in 4 months, almost $2 million worth of laptops. 1,440 laptops. It says for new teachers and to upgrade. To me, that's a lot of laptops. What happened to all the other ones? That could be upgraded. You mean to tell me almost every staff member? There's 2,000 teachers? That means almost everyone's getting a new laptop? That seems a little high to me. And as Mr. Vukovic said, my other point, if the rumor's true that the top 2 people in this district, and it's time for their kids to go to the high school, we lower our credits to 17. Now it's time for your kids to go there, and it's not good enough for them, but it's good enough for everybody else's kids, and you guys make the decisions. It's not a good look for the community. It's not. And then the other thing I want to talk about tonight on the agenda, here we go with these conferences again. Let's load them up. To be honest, Mr. Ewan, you stated that if it's true that you're not going to run for the board, I don't think you should go on the conference to Vegas. There's other board members up here that ain't going. We have enough board members up here that are going that could fill you in on what's going. We're talking about investing. We have a lot of staff members that don't get to go to a lot of these conferences, and that we should use that money for invest in them that are going to stay in the district and go. That's my opinion, but that's what I'm talking about. We don't have all that free money no more. And I can hear Ms. Polk right now talking about money's tight. We got to start watching our spending, and we do. That's all I got for tonight. Thanks.
Thank you, Mrs. Becky. Final name, two names, sorry. Bruce Wright and then Rayon Edwards.
Good evening, board. My name is Bruce Wright. I'm a parent. My son started Brookside campus in his junior year yesterday. I am here again for the second week in a row with the same inquiries about the Black Male Initiative. It is the second day of school. The same questions I had outstanding, I still have outstanding, but I've come in with some more concerns this evening. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and state some of my concerns now because I don't know where to go to get these answers. I don't have anyone to go to. What is the initiative? When did those meetings take place with the parents? It was 8 months ago. You're supposed to meet with the parents and staff to go over this program. When did those meetings go out? When did they happen? Who was involved? What are the results of them? Where did that information go? It's the second day of school and I still don't know. I'm up here confused. I'm frustrated. I have no answers. I'm hoping to get answers tonight. But even then, I got 3 minutes right now and I can't inquire or say anything in return to what's being said. So I'm going to say it now and hopefully it actually will be covered because I can't go back to anything. How was this info given out to the students? If a student doesn't work in whatever program that is being posed, what's the performance improvement plan to get them back on track? How was it decided who would be in charge of this program? Now, I walked in here tonight and I'm a little heated right now because I'm hurt. I want to give a quote by a famous man. Actually, it's my son's name. His name is Malak. You call him Malik. It's Malak. And he named after Malcolm X. And Malcolm X said that a person has to be tied, a culture, a race has to be tied to a language, a land, and a culture. So when you refer to my child, you don't refer to him as colored because there's no colored land, there's no colored place, all right, and there's no colored culture. And if you would have met with me as a parent, I would have told you I find that very offensive, derogatory. Black people always got to be renamed every goddamn couple years. You want to change our identity. So when I came here tonight and I saw a black man with a symbol that represents color, I looked at him and said, please tell me that don't mean color on your shirt. I had to go in the hallway and breathe. I feel like I've been set back. I feel like that is not somebody that should be teaching my black child. Let me tell you something. If you think you're going to get in front of these black boys and call them color, you already lost them. Y'all don't got a clue who they are. You are not going to touch with them. If they can't see you and you don't see them as yourself, I am an African-American man. They tell you what land, culture, and everything about me. That's my history. Without me opening my mouth, even though my name is Bruce, it still told you who I am, where I'm from, and where I represent. You better not call my child no color. I'm saying I'm offended. I'm offended. I'm offended with that brother over there with that shirt on that represent color. Stop accepting the bag. Stand up. Shame.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. Mr. Edwards.
Good evening, board, community, staff, and superintendent. Welcome back, everybody. It's good to have everybody back. I hope everybody enjoyed their summer. My name is Rayon Edwards. I consider myself to be a community advocate here in Waukegan, North Chicago, and Zion. And today I come up here with grievances, and I'm concerned. See, I ain't going to be like everybody else and duck the ball. I don't want to hear a damn thing else about no Black Boy Initiative. Zero. The superintendent's son is black. He ain't going to the high school. Board president's son is black. He ain't going to the high school. We have had y'all in our district for how long? Honey, how much money have we paid you, this community, these taxpayers? And you're talking about a Black Boy Initiative, something that you don't even believe in. Because if you believed in it, you would be having your child here in this district. So they never cared about lowering the credits. They never cared about the reading scores. How do you convince me that you do? If what we got in District 60 ain't good for y'all kids, they ain't good for no other kid in this community. And it's heartbreaking. And so now I'm talking to you, board, because y'all done voted for everything for the superintendent. every demand, every concern. Because Mr. McBride, today I talked to you, and you told me you earned that seat that you sitting in. And the one that you sit in at township, I felt assaulted. I felt disrespected. Because who the hell told you you was privileged? School done started back. We have no guards, no police. We helped get a grant because of what you guys did. But I'm going to give this community some data. Police, Waukegan, 150. School district, security, 100. The police got to protect the whole city. So now the mayor wants $300-some thousand, I believe, 300 plus. At first she charged y'all like 120. The previous mayor's charged like 75 for 2. Is Carmel got police there? Is we gonna ask this district to work with Anthony McIntyre? Do Carmel got a Black Boy Initiative? You got to know I'm gonna ask all these questions. I'm gonna be up on my Facebook Live all week. I'm saying to this community, we need change. Our babies deserve better. They need better. And we supposed to be fighting harder for them. This is their future.
Thank you, Mr. Edwards. This concludes our public comment. Superintendent, I do hope that you will reach out to the individuals who spoke in order to make sure that they follow up. And as we mentioned, we do have the presentation later this evening, so any questions that are not answered during that presentation, we'll make sure that we get those answers. First item up is the consent agenda for 10A, purchase of laptops for teachers, phase 2.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education authorize the superintendent or her designee to purchase phase 2 of staff laptops for the amount of $1,592,800.
Motion to approve.
Mr. Wright. Mr. Wright. Mr. Wright. Mr. Wright. All right. Go
Motion
ahead.
to approve.
Motion by Mr. Riddle.
Second.
Second by Ms. Fabian. Any comments or questions on the motion?
I have a question. Can we just use this opportunity to explain the program as we've had a public comment in relation to this item?
Sure, Dr. Cuevas.
Good evening, Board President, Superintendent, Board members, community members, and colleagues. The initiative to upgrade the teacher's laptop, basically this is a regular maintenance. Devices, they have an end of life. What this means? So this means that the manufacturer, they will produce an operating system until the device can support updates. With the current laptop model that we have in the district, Apple, they're no longer supporting the operating system. What that means to us? That means that the manufacturer no longer will provide updates, so that will put our network infrastructure at risk. So there's a lot of cybersecurity attacks. School districts, the education department, basically were the target number 1 for hackers in the world. So as a precaution, and also to keep up with the maintenance for these devices, it's strongly suggested that we need to upgrade teacher's laptop until the time that the device support the latest operating system. And that's the reason why we're making this recommendation.
Dr. Cuevas, can you emphasize or explain why we're using Apple products? Because, and I'll just give a brief generalization as to why I'm asking. So when I was a teacher, I was abroad, we had Apple products. It is very much the operating system that Apple as a company decides whether or not they're going to continue making those updates or upgrades to that software to continue to use. My personal belief is that this just allows them to add revenue as a company to encourage people to replace their products more often than if you were to go with a non-Apple product. So why given my understanding of how Apple works, why are we choosing or why are we purchasing Apple computers for the district if we constantly have these upgrade issues?
Good. Great question, thank you. This will happen with any manufacturer. It's not only with Apple. So this will happen with Dell computers, with Lenovo computers. The device, the hardware, yes, is manufactured by hundreds of companies. You have the processor, the memory RAM, the hard drive, and different companies will dictate, especially onto how long that device will receive an update. So it's not only the Apple company, it's all companies.
Okay.
Can I add to that? 'Cause
Yeah.
I think I can elaborate. I feel like, you know, it could be apples or oranges, but I think it's been the consensus worldwide that Apple ecosystem kind of surpasses some of the other ecosystems, and that's what we have, right? Our students, our teachers, some of our staff, they have iPads and they have laptops. So I just wanted to add that. But I also wanted to just take a moment to confirm, Dr. Cuevas, that this is not, every teacher has a laptop in hand currently, because I want to confirm that this is timely, that we're voting on this now and that they will get a laptop before the license expires.
That's correct. Okay. That's correct. So
we're being proactive.
The goal is that once the board approves this, we place the order. It will take time for the ITS department to prepare these devices. And so we need to plan when we can start doing the deployment. So it's going to take probably 1 or 2 months for us to prepare all the devices before we put it in the hand of the teachers. By that time, basically, we're going to be aligned with the industry. And going back to the Apple device, basically this school district, yes, it is 100% an Apple school district.
Thank you.
Sorry. And then just to clarify, there was a mosquito, guys. Just to clarify, are these laptops, the 1600, solely for new teachers or just for any staff within the district?
Only for teachers.
New teachers or any teacher?
All teachers.
All teachers, okay. Because I think it is a bit misleading where it has in the item all new teachers.
It's all
it makes
teachers.
people, it makes people think, oh, we have
it's all
all of
teachers.
this brand new staff.
Yes,
Okay,
all
thank you for
teachers.
the clarification.
Yeah, refresh plan to replace and upgrade all teacher laptops.
Yeah.
And these are new laptops.
This is the latest model, so basically it's going to help the school district for the next probably 6.5 years.
Okay, and so the laptops that they have now, what plan do we have for them? So that, I mean, I heard you say that they have life, okay, but I also know that they still are usable.
Technically, yes, they're useful. Unfortunately, there's no longer support for the operating system that whomever is using this device, they can compromise basically a network. And when I use the word compromise, if there's a virus, if there is any malicious attacks, the devices will not be protected. The practice in the district, when we retire this laptop, basically we reuse the license that we have for the operating system. So we add that license to the new device. And then basically we scrap the device, and the district will receive basically a payment with the company that we select to scrap the device. And we use a local company here in Waukegan, but basically that they recycle these computers for us.
Follow up to that super fast, sorry, board president. So I've also worked for not a school, but a company that when the device reached its end of life for the company's purposes, they essentially wiped it and gave it as an opportunity to sell it back to employees. So I'm assuming there are security concerns as to why we don't do that. Is that a correct assumption, or is there a different reason?
It's a security concern. You're correct. We don't want to be liable, basically selling or donating something that we know that it can be compromised.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments or questions related to that? My only comment is we talked about it. Mr. Vukovic gave example about paper, and I'm just using this as a bigger context. Is we need our staff members to have what it is for them to do their job. And so the Apple computers, right, while expensive, we talk about 6 years. We talk about some replacements because we do have to purchase some that break and do things within that 6 years. But it's giving our teachers the items that they need in order to be successful at their jobs. So this is exactly where our budget and our funding, in my opinion, should be going towards. And that's where I'll leave it at.
Wait. Let me just say one thing. When we began all of the technology in the district, number of years ago, one of my comments from the beginning has been technology is extremely expensive, and it is it's kind of like a never-ending cycle of money that goes into technology to keep up with it. And I said it then, and I will say it now.
Thank you.
It is very expensive to keep technology updated and working at this time. So it is what it is.
I just want to say that, Mr. Jose, it seemed like I'd been down this road before. The last time you came 6 years ago, some of the same questions, what you gonna do with them when it's over with, and I think you kind of answered the same questions over and over and over and over. And I think the last time, we know technology is going to change. They started with I don't have an iPhone, but it started with a 1, it's a 15 now. You're right, technology is going to change, but I'm just listening at the same questions 6 years ago about the same reasons, because it seems like every year you have to change computers and do something different, and I'm hearing the same questions over and over and over. So I really don't have anything to say, because what's have been repeated, I heard 6 years ago the same questions, and it's probably 6 years from now it'll be the same thing again.
You're correct.
I'm going to push back on that because we do have families that just now are engaging with these meetings, whether it's they have concerns with their child that triggered it, or they're new to the district, whatever their reason is. So if it is an annual or a 6-year question, we can put it into the blurb so that people are aware and it gives them that information. But if people are just now engaging with the district, they're going to have these questions, and it's our responsibility as board members to ensure that the public understands what's going on with these funds.
Thank you.
Roll call.
Mr. McBride?
Yes.
Ms. Fabian?
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
Ms. Lansing?
Yes.
President Ewing?
Yes, item approved, motion carries. We have item 11A, resolution of the Board of Education to authorize interfund loans from the working cash fund as outlined in 105 ILCS 5//20-4.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education authorize the treasurer to make any and all interfund loans with the general fund not to exceed the aggregate sum of $10 million as authorized in the Illinois School Code 105 ILCS 5/20-4 as required in order to appropriate payments of expenditures of the school district. This authorization will expire on July 1st, 2025.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Riddle, seconded by Ms. Gonzalez. Any comments or questions?
Yes. So this is what you are asking us to approve is any and all interfund loans within the general fund. And once we do this, that means that anytime an interfund loan is done, it doesn't have to come back to the board because we've already given like a blanket approval for this? Is that what this is?
Board President, Superintendent, board members, community members, this is an annual requirement. Cash flow sometimes is slow, And so I need board authority in order to do a temporary loan to other funds to cover those shortfalls. Oftentimes when I present the budget, I tell you that there's the budget and there's the cash, right? And so I cannot do temporary loans to other funds unless the board give me the authority to do so. So that would mean if I can't do that, then if we're paying out of capital, let's say, and I haven't gotten the money in to cover what we've projected will be deposited in that fund by evidence-based funding at that time, I cannot pay those bills. This is something that we've done annually, and it's a stopgap, but it's a requirement because every year I have to loan it and then I pay it back because you cannot spend cash that you don't have. That's what this is.
Ms. Lindsay?
And maybe this is for the superintendent or board president rather than you, Ms. Polk. But with regard to this item, is there a way that we can get a list of expected bills that are going to be paid with these funds while we approve this item so that we have a general understanding? I understand it's not going to cover everything because to your point, to Mr. Moten's point, things happen, emergencies happen, and we can't plan for that because it just springs on us. But is that something that we can, apart from this, but going forward, look to incorporate?
I'm going to still turn that over to Ms. Polk because she knows what's coming.
Yes, it's timing of receipts. So it's not about that we can anticipate a list of expenses. It's just timing because we could have a delay in reimbursement of grant funds. We could have a delay in receipt, although it hasn't happened, in evidence-based funding. We could have a delay in taxes because if you recall, those of you who have been on the board sometimes, we had about a 2 or 3 month delay in receiving our taxes. We eventually got them, but it was a delay. And so in the event of that, we need the authority of the board to allow us to be able to temporarily shift that money into those funds and then by the end of the year, pay it back.
And Ms. Polk, the bills that we approve at every meeting, that chips away at the 10 million that you loan into each fund?
There's a possibility because once we get the funds, then it just goes back. So when we actually inform the board every time at operations when we give you the treasurer's report, there's 2 columns. One is the actual fund balance and then the other with loans. And so we disclose that information in this board agenda item. We said that we would alert the board when we have transfers, and we do that every time there's an operation services meeting. The treasurer's report, you'll see it.
So then to clarify, to address the concern that I brought up, it's something that's already being provided in the treasurer's report?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right.
No, I'm through. I'm just gonna vote.
Got it.
Roll call.
Mr. McBride?
Yes.
Ms. Fabian?
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
No.
Ms. Lensing?
Yes.
President Ewing?
Yes, I have approved. Motion carries.
You're fine.
All right, we have personnel items, item 13A, attendance at National School Board Association CUBE Conference.
It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the attendance of board members Brandon Ewing, Anita Hanna, Jeff McBride, Carolina Fabian, Christine Lensing, and Superintendent Teresa Placencia at the 2024 National Association of School Boards CUBE Conference in Las Vegas, Nevada from October 28th through the 30th, October 30th, as estimated cost of $2,500 per person for a cost of $15,000, which includes registration, lodging, airfare, and per diem.
I make a motion that we approve this item as presented.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Hannah, seconded by Ms. Lindsay. Any comments or questions on the motion?
Yeah,
Go ahead, Ms. Hannah. You go.
okay. The CUBE conference is one of the largest and most meaningful conferences that I've ever been to, aside from the advocacy conference in Washington, D.C. And we have always brought back a lot of good information from this conference. And I just think that, I mean, we haven't been on a what is considered professional development for a while. And so that's why I'm advocating for this, and it's a meaningful conference for the board members.
Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate that since I made the announcement, I can't remember at which meeting, that I would be voting no for any conferences that the board attends. I feel like we've heard it time and time again that we shouldn't go to conferences, with the exception of III, which is local, it's in Chicago, and Ms. Hannah votes as our delegate for some of the policies that would affect our state. And so far, I think I've been very loyal to that, so I will be voting no. But I do want to emphasize that I do believe professional development is really, really helpful for our staff and our teachers. CUBE is a really great experience. The first year that I went, I feel like I learned a lot. But Ms. Hannah, out of everybody, has been very, very adamant about doing a retreat. I know that Nick put out some feelers for what date worked for us. And so I think in lieu of that, we should do that together, which would be here.
Yeah, my only comments is I give my credence to the board. I did announce that I'm not running again, but that's 10 months from now and 6 months from when we go to this conference, and I still sit as the board president in this chair today, and there's still policy that impacts our students, and there's still decisions that need to be made, and CUBE represents the Council of Urban Boards of Education. It is the most is the conference most relevant to the work that we do. It is the conference that's most reflective of the demographics that impact our students. So if any board member, because I've announced that I'm not running again, would like me not to attend this conference, I will withdraw my request. But again, that is why I'm attending this, because at the recommendation of many of these board members, and because we have a majority of board members that will be attending, I think it's relevant for me to be there. But
yeah, just to know, I'm not voting no because of that. I think Brandon should go if he wants to, but my rationale is because of my other mentality. Yeah,
it's fair.
Yeah, and I personally agree as well that we have, to your point, a year ahead of us, 10 months, and you're still responsible to ensure we're putting policies that best serve our students forward and to have it approved. So I have no issue with you attending the conference.
Agreed. I also don't have any issue with that, and you're still a representative as the president. But I also feel like whenever you go to national conferences, you do come back with so many ideas. And although there are a lot of board members going, this conference is a big one where one board member cannot possibly attend all of the sessions. So we are pretty good about attending different sessions and then coming together and discussing things that we've learned. So I think it behooves us to do that strategy as far as when we go, we're not all sitting in the same session. We are taking full advantage and learning about different national trends. Education is constantly evolving, and so there are trends that are constantly changing. New research is always coming out, and so I think it does behoove the board to stay abreast to those changes so that they know what they're voting for, so they can make educated votes. So I agree with Brandon going to the conference, and I will be voting yes.
Roll call.
Mr. McBride?
Yes.
Ms. Fabian?
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez?
No.
Mr. Riddle?
I'm going to pass.
Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
Ms. Lensing?
Yes, and I echo what Ms. Fabiana said regarding the coordination. I tried last year to get it more formalized, so if those that are going, we can be more direct about ensuring we're covering multiple concepts, that would be appreciated.
President Ewing?
Yes, item approved, motion carries. Item 13B, attendance at AASA 2025 National Conference on Education.
It is the recommendation of the Board of Education approve the attendance of Teresa Placencia, Eduardo Cesaro, and Amanda Patty at the AASA 2025 National Conference of Education in New Orleans from March 6th through the 8th, 2025, at an estimated average cost of $2,533 per person for a total cost of $7,651, which includes registration, lodging, airfare, and per diem.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Riddle, seconded by Ms. Gonzalez. Any comments or questions on the motion?
Yes, just a quick question. Is this for superintendents?
This is the National Conference for Superintendents. Yes, ma'am.
You know, and the reason I'm saying that is because I was thinking that I would really like to go to this so that I could see and hear the messages and so forth that are coming down with coming down for superintendents and their authorities, and you know, what are they doing as a collective group to better education. And I was thinking about that. And so the only thing is, and that's in March, if I'm gonna ask that I be put there tentatively to attend.
Ms. Hannah, may I suggest that you look, by all means, please come, but I'd ask that you look at exactly what the focus is, and some of the workshops that take place. It's a very streamlined focus on superintendents and associate superintendents and their development. So, we could always bring it back, but I think you should look at the at the conference, and then I can call you and we can bring that back.
I plan on looking at it, but I've always been curious as to the professional developments, if you will, for superintendents.
I highly suggest that you they have a website, and it'll have all the detail of programming, etc. It is very targeted toward superintendents, and superintendents from around the country attend. It's a very large conference directed at superintendents and associate superintendents.
Right.
So I'll let you look at that, and I will circle back with you this week.
Yeah, for time, if we can bring that back, Ms. Hannah, if you do decide that you want to make a formal request to attend.
All right, thank you.
Roll call.
Miss.
Go ahead, Ms. Gonzalez, I'm sorry.
I was just, it doesn't have to be answered right now, but since it's about incorporating emerging technology, I was wondering why Dr. Cuevas wasn't attending. If we implement new technology and bring it back to the board to vote on, to just, refer back to the conference being the inspiration, if that's the takeaway.
Yes, definitely. And we'll circle back. As a matter of fact, a lot of the policy work that Dr. Cesario has been looking at from around the country has come from our previous conference that we had last year. There was a very streamlined focus on AI and how it's being utilized across the country, and what are some of the school districts struggling with, and how they're supporting that with GPT, ChatGPT, etc. So yes, we'll look at that. Thank you, Ms. Gonzalez. Thank you.
Roll call.
Mr. McBride.
Yes.
Ms. Fabian.
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Mr. Riddle.
Yes.
Ms. Hannah.
Yes.
Ms. Lensing.
I am conflicted just because we have a lot of initiatives here within the district that needs a lot of attention, but we also want to make sure that our top administrators are getting the development they need to bring back information to prepare students going forward. So because of that conflict, I'm going to pass.
President Ewing.
Yes, item approved, motion carries. We have item 13C, personnel for 8/13/24.
It is the recommendation that the Board of Education accept the administration's recommendation to approve the appointments, retirements, retirement extension, and accept the resignations as found on schedules N699, F1002, G660, L949, and T317.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Riddle, seconded by Ms. Gonzalez. Any comments or questions on the motion? Roll call.
Mr. McBride.
Yes.
Ms. Fabian.
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Mr. Riddle.
Yes.
Ms. Hannah.
Yes.
Ms. Lansing.
Yes.
President Ewing.
Yes, item approved, motion carries.
We have
Welcome.
one administration.
Yep, we have one administrative appointment.
At this time, I'd like to introduce Mr. Henry D. French, who previously served as Education Program Manager with Elevate K through 12 Learning. He will now serve as the new Culture and Climate Specialist at the Brookside campus with a starting salary of $60,000. Congratulations, Mr. French.
Wow.
You got the iced tea look now.
Congratulations.
All right, we are going down to financial reports. Item 60A, ratification of the first processing of August 2024 board bills, manual check request payments, and Old National Bank insurance payments for the period of July 17, 2024 through August 6, 2024.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education ratify the first August 2024 processing of board bills, manual check request payments, and Old National Bank insurance payments for the period of July 17, 2024 through August 6, 2024. The accounts payable board payments for the period of July 17, 2024 through August 6, 2024 totals $1,900,102.14. The manual check request payments for the period of July 17, 2024 through August 6, 2024 totals $852,539.27. The Old National Bank insurance payments for the period of July 17, 2024 through August 6, 2024 totals $1,086,039.14.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Riddle, seconded by Ms. Gonzalez. Any comments or questions on the motion? Roll call.
Mr. McBride.
Yes.
Ms. Fabian.
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Mr. Riddle.
Yes.
Ms. Hannah.
Pass.
Ms. Lansing.
Pass.
President Ewing.
Yes, item approved. We are now at reports. I'm going to ask for the sake of time if we can go right to the superintendent's report. Go ahead.
Can I ask one clarifying question?
Yes.
So, sorry, this is going to be my second year serving as a board member. Do we maintain the same committees? And we should be expecting
Yes.
communications from those department heads?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect, thank you.
Yes, Fabian.
And just one other request, that those that are in charge of our committees, if they can ensure that they are hybrid and that they give us enough notice so that we can plan to attend those meetings. Thank you.
Noted.
And only because you all brought it up, let's take time to plan a calendar of meetings so that the work will continue. And I get that they're at 4 a.m., they're during the day, but we are volunteers that are in unpaid positions to do this work. And while we are all committed, we are also balanced in our own schedules outside. So we will be at the committee meetings, but the more notice that we have, and if we can go and schedule all of those dates for the year, it allows the community to plan to participate. It allows us to plan to participate. And so I do echo those concerns in that request. So thank you.
One more clarification, and my apologies. Excuse me. So for community members or parents that want to engage in any of the community or in any of the committees, how are they going to know that opportunities are available before those committees are set for the year? The reason I bring this up is because I'm part of the Equity Advisory Committee, and in one of the subgroups, there were staff members that wanted to be a part of it, but essentially it was closed because it was set for the year. So I just want to make sure the communication's going to go out and what that's going to look like.
Yeah, so I think that's a takeaway for the superintendent, Mr. Alexakis. There is a website that's dedicated to committees.
Great.
So the dates that are meeting, things that are posted, information that the committees are working on, there was a dedicated site that we said set up for that. So we just want to make sure that that's updated. And then I do think that it would make sense, a simple Google form, where you survey parents' interest, right? What are the committees that currently exist, which allows for a diversity of thought, and where the same people don't continue to be asked to be on the same committees. So the committee structure can change. Sometimes there are different department heads, people leave, etc. But to your other point, board members remain in their same committees for this this year.
Beautiful, thank you.
All right, item C, superintendent's report.
At this time, we're going to present on our African American Male Initiative. I'm going to ask our director, Tasia Field, and welcome Mr. Michael Gonzalez, who is our new manager for special initiatives, to come up on this presentation. So, Dr. Fields. Dr. Kirkwood, you can come up also if you're helping them present. I see you getting ready. I mean, Mr. Kirkwood, sorry. Speaking that.
Good evening, superintendent, board members, staff, and community members. I'm Dr. Tasia Fields, and I have with me Mr. Mike Gonzalez, and we'll be providing you with an update tonight regarding our African American Male Achievement Initiative. So last fall, we launched an African American Male Achievement Initiative aimed at addressing the systemic disparities affecting our African American males in our school district. With this initiative, we are seeking to really understand and reverse some of the challenges that our Black males are facing in schools. One of the first things that we did was establish a task force that was made up of various stakeholders. We really collaborated over the last few months on this initiative. Centering student voice was one of the essential components that came out of this work. Last December, we had our first community design thinking session, and one of the concerns that came out of that session as well was the need to hear from the students. Oftentimes, as educators and leaders in education, we often do what we think is best, and we allude to centering student voices, but we don't do the best job at that. So one of the first things that the task force committed to was not only reviewing the data and considering all of that, you know, we talk about that a lot, but completing focus groups that really centered Black males and their experiences. So in this presentation, I'm going to talk about some of that data as well. So this slide represents the total enrollment of African American males by grade level. 864 is the current total. These are preliminary numbers, so we do expect more concrete totals in the coming weeks. And just to note, the K and the pre-K on the end represent kindergarten and pre-K. So we thought it was important to take a moment to lift up some of the current programs and work that has been happening that also supports our African American males. Now, this is not a comprehensive list. There are many things that are happening in schools, but we did want to highlight a few. The one in yellow that you see at the top is our pre-K literacy plan. That plan has a strong focus on the science of reading and really strengthening our Tier 1 curriculum. It's really important that I express that this is probably one of the most important things that we can do for our African American males, and that is ensuring that they are reading by 3rd grade. It is really critical to their success. So it is essential that you'll see further in the presentation that we have a focus centered on that, highlighted in our key strategies. Among other things that you see here listed, our Black Parent Network, we did increase pre-K full day opportunities, and there are also new dual language opportunities available for students as well. So what's different? This is an intentional focus on our African American males and their achievement. We are streamlining our resources and providing more intentional services and resources for this student group, and we're going to strengthen our tiered pre-K through 12 intervention system. And we'll also have regular progress monitoring in the form of a dashboard that really focuses on our African American males and the supports that they're receiving under this initiative. We will continue to empower our internal and external school community stakeholders so that they can continue to be empowered and collaborate within this initiative. And so what you see here is a timeline. We wanted to kind of explain what has been happening over the last few months. And so, you know, it goes back to last fall when the superintendent launched this initiative. And some of the things that you'll see listed here are things that happened from then to now on. Our superintendent also had various one-on-one data sessions at each school centered around our African American male achievement. You'll see that there are various student engagement opportunities that happened over time. One of the very first ones that happened was we took a group of students to the Chicago Classic football game and college fair, and we also hosted our first community design thinking session, as I mentioned before. In the spring, we continued with our regular task force meetings, and we disaggregated various data points, and we held our second student engagement, which was hosting those focus groups centering African American males. And those focus groups took place at each of our middle schools and all of our high schools. Those task force meetings continued to happen throughout the summer, and we looked at the results from those focus groups and finalized our key strategies that I'll share with you all tonight. Later in the presentation, you will also see the timeline that includes the plan for the fall and winter moving forward. So now I'm going to provide you with a brief summary of the results of our African American male focus group. This is a copy of the actual report, and it'll be available in the upcoming weeks. So the focus groups consisted of individual interviews, and then larger group discussions. They were held at each middle school and high school, and the focus groups were organized in the two formats I just mentioned. If you look on the side, you will see that the percentages is a breakdown of our African American males that participated in each focus group by building. So I also have with me Principal Isaac Kirkwood. Here I'd like him to share a little bit about his experience. Not only is he a task force member, but he can share about the focus group that took place at his school.
Go, can you hold, if you want to write it down? Thank you, Ms. Fabian. Go ahead.
Oh, I thought he was at that point. Good evening, everyone. The focus groups were well received by our students here at Jack Benny Middle School. The students, the facilitator was really a real good facilitator. He was able to keep the students engaged. We learned a lot. As a building administrator, I learned a lot. The students were giving us feedback that this is something that we have to build out at our school, at Jack Benny, giving them that space where they could be their authentic selves and have those conversations that they would love to have. So the focus groups were really, really well ran at Jack Benny Middle School. So that's something that me and my assistant principal are looking at trying to build out to give our students that space at our school.
Thank you. One other thing that he didn't mention, I know it's come up from one of our community members, is there is power in affinity. And so I would like to add that these focus groups did center Blackness, and they were ran by 2 Black males. Okay, so these are the findings, what you see here. And I want to just kind of say that these findings really lifted a significant insight into the day-to-day experiences of our African American males. In the findings, you will see on the slide representing 6 reoccurring themes. That's what these are here. And so these are things that continue to come up in the discussions that happened in these focus groups. So on the next slide, when I go over some of the findings in a little bit more detail, you will see quotes by some direct quotes by some of our African American male students. But in the full report, you will find explicit content, word for word, everything that was shared in those focus groups. So now, although I'm giving you a glimpse into the full report and the findings represent the perspectives and experiences shared by the participants during these sessions, the results are intended to inform and provide constructive feedback rather than to criticize or assign blame. So this information is to be used to identify supports and ongoing efforts to improve the educational experience of our African American males. So the first theme is trusting relationships with staff. Students frequently reported difficulty forming meaningful connections with teachers who often appeared disengaged or viewed teaching merely as a job. Relationships with staff who shared similar cultural backgrounds or showed genuine understanding were highlighted as particularly valuable. There were 36 student mentions regarding this theme. Next slide. In terms of interaction with staff and shared identities, responses indicated mixed experiences with staff, ranging from apathetic to actively engaging. Students felt more understood by staff members who shared similar racial and cultural backgrounds. This was mentioned 30 times by students. Next slide. In terms of daily interactions with staff, many students felt underrepresented and misunderstood by staff, particularly concerning cultural diversity and sensitivity. The need for a more inclusive and respectful daily interaction was a common theme. This theme was mentioned 32 times. Next slide. Positive commentary. Positive feedback was rare and often overshadowed by criticism, leading to a feeling of being undervalued. Students expressed a desire for more recognition of their achievements and positive aspects. This was mentioned 25 times. Next slide. In terms of support with academic challenges, support for academic difficulties was often perceived as insufficient or conditional. Many students felt that their struggles were not met with adequate help or understanding, and there were 29 student mentions for this theme. In terms of fairness of school policies and discipline, disciplinary policies were often viewed as unfairly applied and more punitive toward African American male students. There was a strong call for fairer and more supportive disciplinary practices, and this was 27 student mentions. I would like to just take a moment and let us process that. I know these results can be a bit heavy, but going back to what I said earlier, we want to use this as a time to inform and inform the action steps and the things that we're going to do to improve conditions for our African American males. So in terms of the recommendations, this is the information that came out of the report, and we use that in companionship with various data points that you see here. And this information was used to establish the key strategies for implementation with this initiative. Again, the full report will be available online. Next slide. So these are our key strategies. The first one is culturally responsive school and academic readiness. The second one is an increased sense of belonging. And the third one is family and community engagement. You will see that these strategies overlap with some of the things that we're already doing in the district, and there is a particular focus on that sense of belonging piece that was so pronounced in the data that I just shared with you all. But at this time, I'll have Mike come over and talk more about some of the strategies here and what we plan to do.
All right, can we just breathe for a minute? It's kind of thick in here. I know I'm not real good at reading that paper, but I can speak from the heart for a little bit before I get into this. I grew up in this community. I was raised in Rolling Greens in North Chicago. I grew up in housing projects there, and I've seen a lot of struggle, and I've been through a lot of struggle. Do I fully understand the challenges of African American males? No. But one thing I can tell you that I've been serving this community with my whole heart since I was a 20-year-old, and I'm 48 years old now. And I've helped thousands and thousands of people over the years overcome challenges, overcome hardship, and just want to be better human beings. I'm on day 7 here, and from day 1, I faced many challenges, and I'm okay with that. I did 8 years in the military in the Army National Guard. I'm trained to take on challenges, but what we really need to understand when it comes to serving these kids, we have to be passionate about the people that we're serving. And I've seen many kids locked up. Got brothers like here, Mr. Springs. We've seen many people killed. 4% reading levels. Honestly, when I heard that, that's the reason why I decided to take this job. Because I could have ghosted in my sports position. I was doing very well in that position. All my numbers are soaring in that program, doing very well. I could have coasted out another 12 years in that position and would have been fine. But literally, when I heard that number, my stomach got sick. I broke out in tears. You could ask my wife. And I said, there's got to be something that we can do to help these children. Am I going to get up here today and pretend after 7 days that I have all the answers? That wouldn't be wise. But I can tell you that I have 25 years of experience working in this community, serving people, loving people, and encouraging people to do better. And I'm the man that can try to help us get to the next level. So all I ask for those watching, the community people that are really fired up about this, my sentiment is with you. I'm fired up with you. But give me a chance to meet with you, to talk with you, to collaborate. Let's come up with ideas that make sense in the system that we work, and let's try to work on this problem together. Dr. Fields, she's amazing. She's a very intelligent woman. She compliments me in many areas that I just don't have. Like I said, I'm a grassroots guy. Let's get a program going. Let's organize the community. Let's get these teachers involved. Let's get these administrators involved. I'm that type of guy. I'm still learning this diversity stuff. I'm gonna be honest. This equity and inclusion, I'm gonna learn that stuff, and that stuff is very important and very powerful, and I'm on board with it. But between the two of us, I think we can really do this job. So I'd ask the community, just give me a chance, give us a chance, and we'll get on with it. With that being said, I can breathe now. I got that out. Thank you for listening. So some of our strategies is going to be culturally responsive classroom and academic readiness. We're going to provide professional developments, culturally responsive instructional practices. I think they've already did like 7 of these sessions. We're going to train students in racial identity. We're going to provide school-based equity, specialized in equity coaching. We're going to try to coach on some of these topics and areas and really just bring awareness. One of the things that I've seen in this district, and I'm a transparent person. If y'all can't see already, then y'all going to know me. There's pushback on the terminology with this. And you know what? I'm not going to pretend like I know the best way to describe people. It's a really tough thing when you're trying to describe people. But the one thing I did see was the number of kids that was on that page. That's the number I'm going to have on my board. Because every one of those kids is a soul. Every one of those kids is a person. Every one of those kids, we got to keep out of prison. We got to keep out of drug. We got to keep them from killing themselves. That's what I see when I see that. So forgive me if I get some of these terms wrong, but I'm going to learn that. We're going to learn that. And as a community, we're going to push forward. We have to. I'm tired of all this fighting. I'm tired of all this fighting. It's counterproductive. I know it's hard. I know we're passionate. But it's a tug-of-war system, and it's like we're stuck in the mud. We can't move because we're always fighting. We're pushing it back at each other. At some point, we got to decide, let's work together to try to make this thing better. So that's what we're trying to do. So we're going to bring in programming. My New Direction program we had at the high school last year, New Direction, we had 150 boys in that program, in and out, with an average of about 50 boys coming every week. I want to expand that program to different places in the community. I want to be in 4 to 6 buildings this year. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to some of the most targeted areas where the services are needed the most, and we're going to open up these buildings on Saturdays. Because guess what? We can't expect kids to make up what they don't know during the school day if we don't provide extra time with them. We need extra time to catch them up. You know, first of all, I need parents reading with their kids. So we have to propel the community. We have to compel the parents, like, look, if I can get you to read with your babies, if it's just 15 minutes a day. I've experienced it with my own children, and my children are doing very well. But my wife was relentless when it came to them reading that grade level. Me, not so much. But I saw that through her. I saw the work that she put in, and it wasn't a lot. It was just consistent. So I have to teach parents. I have to get parents to believe the fact that if you can give your child 15 minutes a day, we'll see some great strides. How do I do that? It's tough getting parents out. Anybody here that works in programs and know anything about parents, it's tough getting parents out. But I believe if they buy into what we're doing, if they buy into the passion that we have, if they buy into our program, if I'm in your community, if I'm at North School and there's a housing project 1 block away and we're there every Saturday from 12 to 3, guess what? I'm going to get that mom in there. Guess what? I want you to read with your child. I'm going to teach you how to do it if you don't know how to do it. Maybe you don't have the literacy skills. Well, we can add literacy for you as well, so we can help you read a little bit better. We can add mentorship programs. We need more mentors. You know, we need more men and women pouring into these young lives in some of the gap areas that they just don't have. They don't have it. They're missing certain areas in their life. And that tug of war we're talking about is we're working extremely hard after school and programs and things, and then our school is trying to help these kids get better. And then they go back home and it's all sucked right back out of them. So I have to get the parents to buy into what we're doing. Do I have all the answers? No. That's what the committee is for. That's what the board is for. That's what the community is for. I'm here to listen. I'm a great listener. I'm open to ideas. But all ideas can't work in our system all the time. It's just the system is too big. So we have to try to do what's best for our kids. So my premise is connect, motivate, and educate. We're going to connect kids to something. Right now, Colette Erbach, the athletic director, me and her designed a program called Bulldog Athletic Academy. All Waukegan athletes are going to go through mentoring once a week. One of the things that we noticed with our athletes is that they some of them may excel in sports, but they lack in discipline. They lack in life skills. They lack in goal setting. They don't have any vision. They can't see. If you're a child that's never walked on a college campus, you don't know what college is. You don't have the concept in your head. We have to show these children that there's something else beside the walls of Waukegan. We have to show them. You can't get that from reading a book. You have to see it with your own eyes. We took a group of kids to, in my STARS program years back with Ms. Rita Tate, we took a group of kids on a college tour trip to Atlanta. We walked on that campus, Spelman, Morehouse, and man, I was blown away at seeing all this black excellence. Beautiful African-American people just going for it. Our kids need to see things like that, and that's what we plan to do with some of these initiatives. We're going to try to expand our borders on what we do. We have to get out of the box. We have to think differently. Our babies don't learn the same as others. They don't learn the same. This sit down in the seat for 8 hours a day, that's just not working. We have to figure out ways to get our kids in smaller clusters of learning environments where they get it. So one of my other ideas is I want to have an African American authors club. There's a program that Tyrese Gaucher has called Reading Alive, where the kids actually make their own books. Yeah. They, from the illustration to the wording, everything. They get to see a book that they create, and I envision this being at every school where a group of African American boys put this book together with great pride, get excited about reading, and then we have a contest. I invite some of you board members, some of you community members, let's vote on the best book. Let's put up posters in the hallways. Get them excited about reading. My first premise is motivate. We have to motivate these young people. We have to motivate the children. If they're not motivated, no matter what we do, no matter what we come up with, it's going to fall to the wayside. And it has to start in the classroom. It has to start with our teachers and administrators. And I really believe that the work that Dr. Fields has done to set us up to this point is getting that going in the buildings where we can come together with the supplemental services and do some great things. I'm sorry if I'm preachy. I got a little preachy in me, but I hope you can catch my passion. We have to host regular student engagement events and activities. We got to amp up events and activities for our families and our kids. Again, it goes back to that motivation. We got to get them excited. We need more basketball tournaments. We need more basketball leagues. We need more stuff for parents to. I'm better to listen to Mike Gonzalez if I can spend some time with them at an event, or maybe I'll get my child to read if I get to see Mike every once in a while. I get to see my staff every once in a while. I have an army of African American males and females ready to go with me. Perfect example of that, D60 Dogs. I just adopted that group, Dad's group, last Wednesday. I think Taser told me it was mine. On Monday, I had 20 dads there. Not an easy thing to do, trust me. I had 20 dads there, wearing t-shirts, motivated, greeting kids at the school, just welcoming them on the campus, saying, hyping them up, let's go get them. It was a beautiful thing. So we'll use that same motivation in trying to motivate our parents to get more involved. Some of my other ideas, and I'm going off script, but oh well. Books and ball. Like I said, I want to expand my New Direction program to be in multiple buildings across the city. It's not going to cost much more than what I spent this year because I already had like 12 staff over there. I'll just spread them out to the different buildings, and we'll get community partners, we'll get volunteers, and we'll make it impactful in the communities. And these buildings will serve as community learning centers. They can come to these places to get extra learning opportunities. To decrease deficit, they need more opportunity. So we can do that through these centers and through after-school programs and through grants, which I have a ton of experience in getting grants. And all these things align with the findings that we have with the kids. Many of the things you heard me say is based off of information that we got back from the students, feedback we got from them. We're going to leverage our existing our existing assets. For example, my STARS program, we're in 4 buildings. My JAMS program, we're in 20 buildings. Why not add mentoring to already strong programs? Why not add extra reading to programs that are already in existence? I'm going to sit down with leaders. I'm going to be like, look, our African American boys are at a deficit. I need you to focus a little harder on this group. I don't want you to exclude anybody, but guess what? They're not getting what they need. So how about we focus on that group a little bit more? So leverage that. My JAMS program alone, not mine anymore, is about 2,000 kids. 2,000 kids. So we can mentor those kids, just even if it was one time a week. And I'm going to need tons of partners to do this because I told you we got 20 buildings, churches, groups. If we got tons of people, community people that can come in, if I can get you just to mentor these boys and girls one day a week, you will be amazed at what can happen as far as trying to motivate these children in the right direction. And everything's going to be geared towards reading. They got to read, they got to read, they got to read, they got to read. And I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to the world we're in right now. People don't like to read, period. We're learning ways to get through life without reading. So what I am sick of is the fact that we define our African American boys only by how they read. These young men are brilliant. These young men have so many qualities. They have so many skills that we haven't tapped in. But we're saying that we're destroying them because they can't read. Is read important? Absolutely. But let's encourage them in their other qualities. And let me get you excited about reading at the same time. Guess what? I know you can do art. I know you're good at sports. I know you can dance. I know you can act. I know you can do this. We can excite these boys through the things they like and add reading to it. It don't have to be I'm going to throw books at you and I need you to read better. I need you to read better. Then we're testing them, we're testing them, we're testing them and not getting results. No, I need to get them excited about life. And if I get you excited about life, I can get you to read. But if we're not doing none of the things that they like, why do I want to read? Why do I even want to come to school? That's why I come to school ready to fight. That's why I'm coming to school disruptive. That's why I don't like school. So our job is to motivate them. And we're going to do it if given a chance. So I'm going to close up and let Dr. Fields come back. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Mr. Gonzalez. He's very passionate, and I'll try to put some of that into the technical terms. One thing that he mentioned is not defining Black boys by their reading level, although we know literacy is extremely important. One of those trainings that he alluded to as well is centered around asset-based and strength-based thinking, so really supporting our staff to see the gift and the light in our Black males that you're referring to. So I can clean it up a little bit. But there are several key strategies here, and we will formalize our strategies and present that to make that accessible for everyone. If you look at the next slide, that timeline does continue. So this will show you what we plan to do this fall and even into the winter. Our task force will continue to meet, and we will definitely be developing a framework around recruiting those mentoring and outside partnerships to support us in this work. Our parent communication series will begin in collaboration with our family and community engagement department to ensure timely and consistent updates on what is happening. It may seem like the work hasn't been continuing, but it has been all along. And then our third student engagement will be the Waymaker Student Summit. We'll be taking a large group of high school boys to Chicago to a very phenomenal event. More information will come soon regarding that. And like I mentioned before, we will formally release those focus group results. And then in the winter, we will continue to progress monitor explicitly the supports that we put in place for each African American male in the form of a dashboard and action plan. And then we will be already planning for our fourth student engagement, which will be a student summit held here for our students. And again, you mentioned regular data checks. We will be hosting those as well with our building leadership to really make sure that we're looking in and progress monitoring some of the supports that we're putting in place and some of the things that we're already doing. And I will. Thank you.
Ms. Lindsay?
Dr. Fields, thank you for the presentation. Mr. Gonzalez, really appreciate the passion and the excitement to get the work done, because that's what these students need and deserve. They need the work to get done. So I'm really excited to hear a lot of what's going on. With the literacy plan, I was going to ask, but it sounds like you touched on it, so hopefully we can formalize it. So the guest speaker that came to speak at the kickoff was Dr. Tracy White-Weeden, who's done a lot of work with literacy, especially for the Black community. And part of their approach is ensuring that the parents are also literate. And she has acknowledged, which board members have also acknowledged, that parents of our students may be traumatized by our own district's doing or another district's doing, right? But they may not have the same skill sets needed to be able to support at home. So Mr. Gonzalez, you had touched on providing supports to those parents, and I'm really happy to hear that, because that's something that we need to be really intentional with, because we can't expect families to help if they don't have the skill sets to do so. I'm going to echo that 15 minutes a day is so very vital, and it does take a village. So if multiple families, like if you are in an apartment complex, or you are in a neighborhood, or you are at the bus stop, those are moments where you can start building connections and building your village up, so that if you have to work late, maybe a parent can do a story time with others. Right, so it's getting creative and out of the box, using the bus stop time to maybe bring a book, read a couple of chapters, etc. So I'm really happy to hear that. On slide number 5, Lee, if you could go to it. I think something that the community is wanting to hear is just specifics around how you're going to empower collaboration. I think they want detailed information, not just saying we're going to do it. Because if you just say you're going to do it, from their perspective, nothing's happened since last December. And that's not true. I've been on the committee. I haven't been able to attend every single meeting, but work has been done. But from their perspective, it's not. So I'm just curious, what are some intentional, specific items to address that collaboration piece? I'll pause.
So I actually just got back from a conference in San Francisco for my STARS grant. And I met this group that's doing amazing work out of Dallas in collaboration. So I already have a meeting set up with them next week to discuss how they power such a collaborative part. So I'm gonna just have a conversation with them and see if it's professional development that we can bring back to our area.
Okay.
But they're doing it. I mean, they're doing it huge. And we sit in a county where there's resources everywhere around us.
Mhm.
So we can figure out how to leverage those resources and go after them.
Yeah.
We really can do some things for our community. So you can't do what you don't know how to do. We know how to do some things well, but there's people out there that are doing it better. So I'm hoping to learn a little bit more from this group and bring that back home.
Okay, and I appreciate the honesty around that, right? Because that's what this community wants and desires. Let's be real about it and just get it out there. Go ahead, yeah.
If I could add to that, in
For sure.
addition to that, we will be sending out communication to our African American males, their parents specifically, with an update about the initiative and what programs will be available for them. In addition to hosting maybe another community design thinking session. I don't know if we will call it that, but
Yeah.
another forum where we can collaborate with parents and inform them about some of the strategies that we have out that I've spoken to today, in addition to including updates in one of our newsletters as well.
Great. Thank
Can I
you,
say
Dr.
something,
Fields.
Brandon?
I know she was asking questions.
Oh.
You got a question, Mr. McBride?
No, I was kind of going to allude to the question Mike was asked as opposed to how he's going to touch the community. And I just want to think he's done it already. Anytime you can get 20 black men together, we talking about initiative for black boys. Most of their dads are in jail or on drugs. They don't even have nobody around them to show them how to put a belt on right. But you got 20 black men, that's the start right there. Thank you.
With slide 8, just another reminder, as you know, it's been brought up several times, and it's very helpful to Ms. Hannah's point to putting in actual numbers. You said all high school campuses. AOAC is a component of the high school campuses. I don't see them reflected, and I'm curious as to why their percentages for the high schools you did go to are a little bit lower. Can you help us understand that a bit more?
Yeah, there'll be more information in the full report, but you know, when doing focus group data like this, you really have to be careful because the numbers of African American male is so small at certain buildings.
Yeah.
We don't want to have any identifiers available, and so you can kind of say, oh, well, that's, you know, we want to prevent that. But like I said, in the full report, it speaks more to how the group was selected and who was in those focus groups.
Okay, and I've got a couple quick targeted, and then I'll step back. Yeah, if it's tangential.
Yeah, just on this one, just to clarify for the percentages, just to be clear, this is 25% of African American males in that building. Then.
Correct.
Yeah. And then with the findings, right, so I was in that session with the meeting to read through all of the comments. They weren't surprising, but it's still heartbreaking, right? And Superintendent, I really loved your message at the school year kickoff of the connections. It's really about building community. You need to see me if we're going to engage, right? And so we just had our first day of school. Today was our second day of school. I just want to put that extra reminder out for teachers to build relationships with your students. This first week for some of our upper grade students, but you know, if you can go into the 2 weeks that we brought up before, really connect with the kids, because when you have that connection, then you're more motivated to do the thing. So that's just another reminder to that. I think with, on slide 13, as a parent, I have to check myself in this area where it's like I'm constantly thinking of improvement and how to do better. But the intent is improvement. The impact is, well, what am I good at? And so I just want to reiterate to teachers that it's not, your intent may be good, but this is the impact of what's happening in your classroom. And the last thing that I'll say for right now, sorry, 2 more things. For targeting reading specifically, I really want to see a summer program designed specifically for reading only. We have summer schools to address different subject areas or a wide variety, but again, I did it. I sat with kids 8 hours a day, 4 hours, every kid was there. For 4 hours, they were sitting, and you build connection and you build in games to work specifically on reading. And you can get a lot done in a period of 4 to 6 weeks with students. Make it fun for sure, but target that reading so we can really boost those scores. And the last thing is, as you're starting to ask for people or to help out, I'm going to recommend everybody fills out the volunteer form now so that we're ready to rock and roll when it's time.
Yeah. Ms. Fabian.
So I have a couple of questions. One, it's one of the first slides of all the activities that have been done. So I would also like to see the Black Parent Network, from my understanding that there have not been a lot of parents attending. So what are we gonna do? What strategies? And I know you may not have the answers today, but I really want for you to think about that. If consistently we have not had many parents attending, then our strategies need to change, and how do we get more parents to attend and feel welcomed? Another one was the dual language. I love the idea, and our U.S. Department of Ed has been really supporting and pushing multilingualism throughout our nation. But what I want to know is, what are we doing to support our families in that language acquisition, right? If the family doesn't know that second language, how else can we support them and give them ideas and tips so that they stay committed to their child learning a second language? The other area I really want to talk about, and you really hit on, Tasia, is that asset mindset. When we're looking at professional development, and as a parent, I receive a lot of notifications and newsletters and emails, and something that I continuously see is a deficit mindset when people are writing to us. Not every parent in this district is struggling. Not every student is struggling. Not every parent is uneducated or doesn't understand the systems. And so when we are talking or sending out newsletters, being mindful of how we are presenting information so that it doesn't sound like we're making assumptions, blanket assumptions of all parents and students. And I love the passion, Michael. I've always been a great supporter of yours because I do see the work that you do. And you do know the students that do need that extra support, that may be struggling. But what I didn't see in here is not all 800, I don't remember the number, of our African American males are failing or struggling to read. We do have some that are gifted in the high end, and I didn't see any supports written out for those students. They get kind of like lost in the shuffle. And I think that's something that's lost in general with our gifted students, where we don't provide enough supports because we're too busy managing and putting out fires over here. So again, when we're looking at asset-based mindset, also looking at where are our students really excelling, and are we providing them that opportunity to really go above and beyond and truly get those supports for their giftedness. To Ms. Lensing's point, research and research varies, but I remember, research shows that it takes 3 positive affirmations to cancel out a negative. So just reminding our teachers again, what we say to our kids, reminding our parents what we say to our kids. And I know my kids have had to remind me, like, you're sounding a little negative to me. What am I doing right? So I get it, that sometimes we want to point out the errors to try to help fix and correct them, but it's just being, again, mindful on how we speak about our kids. And again, making blanket statements like all of our parents or all of the dads are not present. I don't want to hear those blanket statements because that is not factual. Right. You proved it. You got 20 dads out, right? You proved that's not factual. So I just want to make sure we're being asset-based mindset, and that we're intentionally giving professional development towards that. And The other point is this all came about because of, and I don't see him here, Mr. McIntyre's pointing out the 1%ers, the 1% of students who passed the SAT, of our African American males who passed the ACT. When I was looking at the numbers, that's 56 11th graders now. I know we're going back to the ACT. Can we be mindful, understanding that this is kind of where that conversation started, and that is, you know, a really low number of students passing, but knowing that there's only 56 kids and we want to be student-centered, taking the time to sit with the students and asking them what would be helpful before we get to the ACTs to help them pass. So what times is tutoring more beneficial to you? If they're in sports or jobs, they can't go, right? So just, there's 56 kids. We've got to be able to sit and have conversations with each of them and figure out what we can do specifically from them, you know, hear from them what we can do to support them. The other, and then the last question, I know it's a lot of questions or thoughts, is progress monitoring. I know you said you're going to have a dashboard. Are you intending to hire more staff, or is that going to be solely on Mr. Gonzalez to progress monitor on all the students?
Well, for now, we already have a dashboard present in our Destination 2028, so it will mimic that, but be an internal one. And I don't want us to think about it as something that's solely his responsibility, because our special initiatives will change, but we will use this as a tool with our building leadership to have those conversations around what's happening with this group of students.
And I can add to that. We have a department called Accountability and Strategy where all those dashboards are built out. So the function of building those out will be their responsibility, right? Not Mr. Gonzalez. That's.
But I want to be clear that it's not just him looking at the data. So,
oh no.
Thank you.
You know, data is one thing, and I don't want to look at the data. I want to look at what's the reality, what's really happening. And it's been, if I look at the data, it's been said to me already they can look at our little black boys and tell whether they're going to be in a penitentiary at the age of 5 because of their behavior and whatnot. And I think that's partially true. And you mentioned Mr. McIntosh. He always come in, he always talk about prisoner pipeline. And when he talk about prisoner pipeline, he's actually saying what our scholars already are saying, that is, I can look at a kid and tell already whether he's going to be in a penitentiary at the age of 5. Why do he say that? Because if we look at our kids, their behavior, when they come to school, all of those values and those morals and those different behaviors suggest to me that you're on your way to getting in trouble. You on your way. You will be as a juvenile. You'll be in St. Charles or IYC. Then after that, then you'll be downtown at the county building. But matter of fact, I mean, they know that because when they built the county building, they looked ahead already and knew why they was building the building. And if you look at the building now, who's up there? The same ones we're talking about today. So I enjoy what you're saying, Mike. My philosophy is you need to be a strong brain cells, and you were talking about it in all your subject while you were talking in our kids. And if you look at the data, as you were saying, all the things that they disliked and how people felt about them, all that's true. I was a little black boy at one time, so I can experience that. And I love when people talk about the village. What do you know about the village? You never lived in the village. So I just want to say that your initiative that you're using, that you're getting ready to build upon right now, those are things that should have been talked about by this board instead of just doing data and data. You're coming up with some actual initiatives now. You started off with 20 black men. You're talking about ball to reading, 15 minutes a day, getting the parents engaged because sometimes the parents can't. You're talking about getting them to learn how to read. All of those things that you're talking about, that's a start to making a change as opposed to, well, we don't have to hear stuff going on at Brookside fighting. We don't have to hear that young lady talking about my child is smoking weed. You're getting ready to install some information in these kids while they're little. You don't have to be that way. And I don't think they're really getting that where they should be getting it. But you're talking about doing it from a grassroots standpoint, and that's important. So I want to say I congratulate you for your passion. And then not only that, you can back it up by, well, you talking about is being asked how you going to get it. You got them already. You got your jams, you got your stars, and the minute everybody been in your programs, you have parents that are packing the stadium. And them same parents you can get right now, once again, because they love who you are, to do anything you ask for them to do. So it's a no-brainer to me. I'm looking forward to the ship to start moving. Thank you. And if anything I can do as opposed to helping you out, come see me. I don't mind helping.
I am going to push back a little bit because there was some deficit framing in your language, Mr. McBride, and I think it's an area that we can all benefit with growth from. But when they build the penitentiaries, they're not looking at individual children. They're not looking at the behaviors that they come to school with. They're looking at zip code. And if it's an impoverished community, which are typically black and brown, that's what they're building it off of. Our children do have values.
You said the same. You said the same thing I said. You just said it in a different way.
And we
that's
can
what I'm
benefit from
saying.
that conversation by
Yeah.
understanding that we're saying the exact same thing in two different ways. So I think what we're hearing and something that I wanted to ask is, where do you need us? And I will be very transparent and say I appreciate you, Mr. Gonzalez and Mr. Cookwood and Dr. Fields, because if you need me on a Saturday, I could be there on a Saturday. I just needed to know where, I just needed to know when, because you guys try to get me during the work week and I can't, right? And you try to get me on an evening and sometimes I'm in a bad mood, right? And that's not beneficial to our kids. So I think what the board is asking is, like, where do you need us? Where do you need people to show out? And where can we ask our community to be? That's not a new question. That's what people have been saying, right? But I think, like President Ewing said, we just need to get the calendar out. We need to start getting the forms out. We need to just, get to the ground going. One thing that I will mention is, and I talked to the superintendent about it today, is this parent university situation. I think that should be key, and I'm not gonna repeat it because you guys had been emphasizing the entire time. But again, making it accessible, right? And making it just as entertaining and engaging as when we engage with the students, because I do think that this framework of, make it activity-centric could be beneficial. I mean, I was a top student, so I wouldn't know, right? But if I were forced to sit in a class for like 4 or 8 hours a day reading to prove how much I can read, I would lose it. And I know some of these kids, regardless of where they're at, whether they're meeting expectations, exceeding, or need a little bit of help, they feel the same way. So the final thing that I will say, just out of my personal experience, I don't share it too often, but when I was in college, one of the internships that I did was with Community Coalition. It's the very renowned, it was started by Karen Bass out in California, in SoCal, and they modeled it after that. What they did was that they had the kids who met with us during the weekday have an hour to play, socialize, do whatever it is that they wanted, an hour to focus on their homework, and then an hour to focus on a theme to better their own selves, personal development, thematic development. And we found success in that, right? And whether we were talking about applications for college, getting a job, building your resume or whatever, they were never bored, right? Because they felt like they had organized time to play and socialize, make new friends, connect with us, but also, get down to it with their homework to increase their grades. And I think that's what we're missing. I know that stars and jams and everything that you had mentioned, they do that. So why not add to it? I think that is a really great way to attack it. But we need to know where to go, and we need our volunteers to be equipped so that they're welcomed into those spaces as well.
Just to level set, he's been on the job 7 days, right?
Yeah,
So we're
right.
not expecting you to get all that
No
information tomorrow, Mr. Gonzalez, but we'll get it to you soon, okay? Just to, because I know you're an overachiever.
But I do have a secret. He has been a part of our task force all this time. So.
Ms. Fabian.
And just to piggyback off of what Adriana said, again, equipping our volunteers. I know a lot of us may have the time, but may not feel like we have the skill set to be able to teach, right? Teachers go for 4 years and learn all that pedagogy. So also being able to find time to train. So I know we've had different programs in the past where they have had professional development for our volunteers in order to help them support in reading. So just for anybody who wants to volunteer and you don't feel capable at the moment, finding opportunities where they can go and learn and get that professional development so that they can support you in the work.
And just for the record, I'm an African American male, and I was a young boy at one time, and everything that we're talking about with our kids, I went through the same thing. So when I speak out of a mirror of when I was a kid, and I see the same thing happening all over again. So when I make my comments, I make my comments not because of the fact I'm just talking, because I went through the same thing. In that prison, the pipeline, I was a part of it. And I see the same thing happening over and over and over again with our kids. So once again, when a scholar tells me that I can already tell you what your kid's gonna be before he even gets to be grown, I believe that, because matter of fact, everything he said is factual. And I'm gonna say it again. Once again, when they built that bridge, that jail over there, they knew what they were doing way ahead of time. And not did they know what they were doing. If you go in that jail right now, look in there, see who's housing it. And it didn't start because they was grown. It started because they were small, the same ones we're talking about right now. Thank you.
Mr. Riddle?
I'm just going to say, I'm really happy, Mr. Gonzalez and Dr. Fields, because I think I'm going to start calling you guys the dynamic duo, because I feel, and I worked in that jail for 33 years. So I know what excited those people in that jail too. And it was what you talked about, getting them excited about life, getting them, having them a sense of belonging, a sense of achievement, a sense that they can do it. Mr. Gonzalez, you said all the things that all of us need. And so I have great faith that the two of you are really going to be the dynamic duo that is going to make a difference. Yes, we've been talking about it for a long time, and we've had a lot of people working on it, but the two of you are the right blend. Dr. Fields with her knowledge and putting it, as you said, in academic terms, and Mr. Hernandez, you know how to actually make it happen with the people. And you need excitement, to get any program going. You need excitement for these children, that somebody believes in them. One of your key goals is here a sense of belonging and belief. We all need that. All of us need somebody to believe in us if we're going to try. And we have to have a vision of where we can go. And you've talked about that. So I really am excited about what the two of you are doing. I feel like this program is really going to work. And we're finally going to see some difference, and I look forward to that in the year ahead, and I know it's going to happen. So thank you so much for the two of you and all the work that you have ahead of you and that you've taken on. And if we can help as a board, please ask us and let us know how we can do that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This work is important. I commend the steps that have been taken thus far. Everybody who's heard me knows some of my frustrations, but it was echoed with Ms. Fabian, is when I look at these numbers, what saddens me is that we're talking about 54 students, 54 lives, right, in the context of all of the other students that we have in District 60, but that's also what excites me, is because we can do targeted intervention in order to make sure we get these kids where it is that they need to be. To Mr. McBride's point, in case you hadn't seen, right, I'm a black man too. I'm a black man who raised and is raising kids in District 60. And while I will speak about my experience only as it relates to public comment, is I'm not afraid for my student to go to Waukegan Public Schools, but I raised my black boy with autonomy, and I raised my black boy to understand that he can advocate for himself. And I raised my black boy to know that he can always come to his parents. And this community has not been kind to me or to my children. And so there is a belief, right, and I won't even go there, that's him. The decision that we made for my son to attend Carmel was only afforded to him by Waukegan Public Schools. It's because he received an education in Waukegan Public Schools and graduated in the top 10% of his class from Edith Smith in Waukegan. that's the decision that I made. If you want to talk to me about it, you always can, but I will not.
Don't shame him for that decision.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You do what's best for your child.
And you can always have a conversation with me, but I will support and stay committed to Waukegan Public Schools because I am a product of Waukegan Public Schools. And that's kind of what I will say to that. Because what I also want to say is our communication strategy. When you listen to the community, there's a lot of frustration, right? There's a lot of disjoints. It's been disjointed, and there's been fits and starts. And so what the community is saying is give us time to plan to participate. And so while it wasn't in this presentation, within the next month, and I'm not putting you on the clock, well, I am. At this point, I'm putting you on the clock, is that I am expecting a calendar of meetings and a communication strategy. We have events that are coming up as early as September 7th. If we're going to the Classic, that's September 21st. The school year's already started. They take the ACT in a few months, if I'm not mistaken. So these are all things that we can't meet once a month to discuss and try. I know Mike is a doer, so I'm not, but that is, in my opinion, right.
We can start writing notes of encouragement right now.
And
I don't know where to deliver them, but that's something we could do because a lot of kids go into testing thinking that they're going to fail. And there have been studies that show that if you think you're going to go into a test and fail, you're going to fail.
Yeah.
You're not going to do your best. But you get one affirmation right before the test and you sail, you know? And that's something that is so concrete, so simple. All of us can do right now, you know? But we won't know where to deliver them or what to say. Or,
We're
you know what I mean?
committed to presenting. I know that they're already working on a calendar of events, and I know that Nick and Dr. Fields have been working on a communication strategy, so we will bring that back to the board.
And reaching out to community partners. So while I am encouraged by the work, I share some of those frustrations with what I've seen as a lack of progress, just in the totality, right? Since I've been on the board, and what you're feeling and what you saw tonight is not people who are unsupportive of what is happening. It is people who are frustrated because they feel like year after year, time after time, month after month, every delay is a dream deferred for a lot of our students. What I will say is I do want to change the narrative. I sat on Saturday in a room with 40 other males from around Waukegan, North Chicago, and Zion. And there is a commitment to men and black men being more present in Waukegan public schools. But to what we heard, they have not always felt welcomed. And I'm pointing to the gentleman who talked about his personal situation. They have not always felt appreciated or valued. And we have not been welcoming and collaborative in our approach. And so the same language that we talk about, the experience that our students have, the same traumas that sometimes we experienced, to Mr. McBride's point, when we were students, is some of the same things that is why they're frustrated today. And we can't hit the reset overnight. So there was an offer extended. The offer was to go to their establishment, right, to have a conversation. Is because many times the system is requesting that they come to us, and what they're saying is we don't feel comfortable in your space. And so I would highly encourage us to take advantage of any of those conversations as we seek to continue to rebuild trust and as we roll out those community communications. And then I will end because I know Ms. Hannah is waiting to speak. We talked about a framework, and we talked about it being science-based, and we talked about including the entire community. The Obama Foundation, through My Brother's Keeper, already has, which we have not defined yet, what are the milestones of success? What does successful students look like? What does black male achievement look like, right? So there are 6 key milestones. Milestone number 1, entering school ready to learn. So who are the individuals, organizations, community partners that we have that are designed to make sure that our kids are entering school ready to learn? What is our current pre-K enrollment, right? And we know what that number is. What percentage of our students does that represent? And is it and it looks like it is, right? But representative of, I think, are those all our black students who should be in preschool? Can we increase that number to make sure that we are meeting our school readiness targets? Milestone number 2, reading at grade level by 3rd grade. Ms. Lindsay talked about programs, intensive summer programs in the city of Chicago. As I know Mr. Gonzalez already talked about, there are people who are having success. Black Boy Lit is a program that is sponsored through Salem and Progressive Baptist churches, in which they are getting black boys reading at grade level by the 3rd grade by focusing targeted fun interventions, but reading. Yep. Is because we need to make them literate, because to Mr. McBride's points, they're just not looking at zip code and skin color, they're looking at reading attainment and literacy scores. And that is one of the biggest indicators, which we even heard about at the all-employee meeting, is that, I forget the statistic, but over half of those that are incarcerated are dyslexic. Over half, 68% of those that are on death row are illiterate. so we're saying the same thing, in that the literacy rates is what they're looking at. And so when we create a more literate society, we create a safer society. We create and we disrupt that school to prison pipeline, is what Mr. McIntyre has been speaking to. How do you disrupt the school to prison pipeline? Because we know our students are capable. Milestone number 3, that they are graduating from high school. That has to be a major focus. And then not just graduating from high school. Milestone number 4 is that they are either completing post-secondary education and or enrolled in a training, right? And so if we know the barriers, right, if Tech Campus requires a 2.5% GPA, then our freshmen and our freshman parents have to know what that target is, so that when they have those opportunities, because everybody says they want consumers ed back in class. We got automotive shop, we got culinary, they got barber school, they got CNA programs, they got early engineering programs, but many of our students have been cut off from that opportunity is because by the time they're ready to go, they don't necessarily have the GPA. And I'm going to say not because of any fault of their own, but because we didn't do the appropriate training to make sure that they knew that this is what you have to do in order to access that opportunity, right? And so we want to make sure that we're meeting with our students and that they understand the pathway for them to either get to college, because yes, you're not going to get into a 4-year institution with 17 credits. That's not my expectation. My expectation is not that students get 17 credits. That is the minimum. I didn't graduate from Waukegan Public Schools with the minimum amount of credits. And I don't expect that the vast majority of our students will graduate with a minimum amount of credits. But for some of our school students, they do want to get out and get into the world. They have real responsibilities and jobs, and by them being able to achieve their credits, like I had to stay in school an extra semester because I needed a gym credit.
Crazy. Yeah.
That's a fact. I was not allowed to go to CLC because I needed a gym credit because of our policy. That's not made up. So we have to do both, and we have to understand that each parent's and student's path may not be the same, and what we want to do is give opportunity. Finally, all youth out of school are employed. That's milestone number 5. If our kids are working, they're not hitting you upside your head, right? If our kids are not hungry, they are not. Our community is safer. So we want to make sure that people are employed, they have access to resources. Yep. And lastly, milestone number 6, all youth remain safe from violent crime. Yep. And so what we want to do, in my opinion, and we talked about it as a task force, and I'm not deciding, but to me, those are 6 key areas which really show clearly what is black male achievement. And this isn't just focused on black males, right? It can be applied for all groups. But I think by targeting our black males, because I'm not afraid to say black, is what organizations exist that are doing the work in each of these specific categories, and how are we bringing them together. And then that way, as I do, the book of Nehemiah, they rebuilt the wall, if you listen to the biblical story, by focusing on the area nearest to their house. They weren't worried about who was building the wall in the other part, right? If I'm committed to getting kids ready for preschool, I'm not necessarily doing the anti-violence work, but Mr. McIntyre may be. Right? If we're talking about communication strategies for parents. So I've already been and spoken longer than I wanted to. I do appreciate the efforts, and I just want us to get to work. And so I'll welcome Mr. Gonzalez, and I appreciate your heartbeat and for you joining the team. And thank you, Dr. Fields, for the work that you've done to get us to this point. And I just look forward to us making a significant difference this school year and really putting some things and implementing and putting stuff into place within this first quarter, right? Ms. Hannah.
Okay. It sounds good, everything that was presented. I told my story at the kickoff at Whittier. And so I think, Dr. Fields, you know where I'm going with this. Because, see, I was one of them little black girls. You understand? And I understand that this is what it is, okay? But I am hoping that the consideration for all of our students is in the dashboard, if you will, okay? Because all of our kids, our students, are in need of achievement, academic achievement. And when this first started from Mr. McIntyre, it was regarding academic improvement. And I understand your methods of bringing students in and the motivating factors. I've done it for 40 years, okay, so I know what you're talking about. But we have to not forget that those black males, right, that there's also black females. There's also Hispanic males. There's also Hispanic girls, right? There's white students that need help. And so I understand all of it. I understand the focus, okay? But in doing everything that you're going to do for black males, it would suffice for all the rest of the students as well. And that's what I'm hoping that it will evolve to, because all of our students need help. All of our students.
Thank you for that reminder, Ms. Hannah. And to add, our work extends beyond any single initiative. Our mission is to support all students, to create an environment where every child has the chance to thrive. It means being intentional in our actions, thoughtful in our approaches, and unwavering in our commitment to equity and inclusion. By lifting up our most vulnerable students, we create a stronger, more connected community for everyone. So while this is the initiative we're talking about this evening, we are concerned with and will work to see the success of every student in Waukegan Public Schools. So I thank you all for your efforts. It's 9:30. Ms. Fabian, final comment on this topic.
Just to remind that we do have an MTSS system that does also track vulnerable children when it comes to lower reading scores and academic behaviors. So while this is a key focus and initiative, it doesn't mean that we aren't focusing on other students of other races or ethnicities.
Thank you. All right, we got board information items. Items A and B were supposed to be presented next week, so that's why they did not have an attachment. So we're going to item C and D. These item C is a first reading, so again, read through it, take some time. Does anybody have any questions or comments or concerns at this moment? If not, please get those into Kathy and I.
I do have some comments regarding policy 4112.
Okay, understood. Thank you, Ms. Hannah. So we are going to jump down to board member time. Remember, the board is going back into closed session. I'm going to start that way with, actually, I'm going to start with you, Jeff. Go ahead, Mr. McBride.
You all right back there? Yeah. All right. The back to school kickoff, I thought it was very great. It's something that I have never seen over my 16 years of being on the board. It was excellent. It reminded me of what is it called? Lollapalooza, is it? That's how many taxpayers we had together at one time celebrating the back to school kickoff, and all the excitement in terms of the vendors. It was just excellent, and I just like to give kudos to the Face Department. I guess which is run by Tasia. Your staff did an excellent job. I mean, I don't think nobody can deny that. And we had other things going on around the city. I know the township had a taste going, but for some reason or another, it did not take away from the population and count that we had that day. And I just want to give you guys kudos, and I think that also to what's been talked about tonight, I don't want to see it watered down by some of the comments that I heard. I mean, the initiative is once again is dealing with black young men that are having issues in general in our district, and I just don't want to get it watered down. And I think we need to focus on that, because number one, if we don't, some of the things that we've been experiencing last year, we'll continue to keep experiencing those things, and I want to see at some point we get to a point to where as though we can curb the violence in the school, we can maybe curb some of the marijuana smoking or some of the insubordination towards our staff. I think that once we get this initiative program going that we just heard tonight, when you got sense, you act like you got some sense. But if you don't have sense, you'll do the things that you shouldn't be doing that would cause us to have expulsions, reprimands, and all of that. So I am hoping that this program will be able to help us curb some of those issues that we had last year. And I heard Mr. Ewan echo that sometimes we alienate individuals in the community that can also bring some help to the programs that was being discussed. And I hope at some point we get to a point to allow those communities to be a part of this initiative, because I think they also bring a lot of experience and a lot of help to solve some of the problems that we're trying to solve on our own. And so with that, I'm happy to hear what happened tonight, because this has been a long time coming. At least we know we're getting ready to get something started.
Thank you, Mr. McBride. Ms. Hannah?
Oh, no. I'd like to say, but I'm not going to say anything.
Mr. Riddle?
Only just a thank you to everyone who's prepared our schools from the kickoff, but also I visited some of the schools, and the teams were really busy getting everything ready for the children to come. Our staff has done a phenomenal job this summer in getting the buildings ready. If you haven't seen Hyde Park yet, wow, you got to take a look at it. We've really done a phenomenal job at that school with the new addition there that's been put on, the entrance, security entrance, and offices and staff and staff lounge. And just want to thank all of our staff for all the hard work that they've been doing this summer, and welcome everybody. And the excitement level is up, and I just want it to continue. I think great things are going to happen this year at Waukegan Schools. And thank you so much.
Thank you. Ms. Lindsay?
I just had a couple of things. One, I just wanted to do a formal appreciation. Hopefully people received this mailer of District 60 Focus, and so it was English and in Spanish if you flip it around. I know one of my frustrations has been communicating and connecting with our community and with our families especially, and I feel that this was a really, really great thing to receive, not just as a parent in the district, but as a community member in the district. It really highlights different aspects that are going well in Waukegan Public Schools, and it was great to see a lot of highlights, not just for staff, but also for students. So I'm really thankful that the administration put this out. I look forward to seeing more of these because it's going to pull us together, right? And I touched on it before, but really the connection piece is so vital. We are a community. We all live here. We all love Waukegan. It's a great place. I refuse to move. I will die here. But we have to build those bridges with each other. We have to build those connections with each other so that, to Mr. Gonzalez's point, we're not fighting each other. It's let's come together, let's work on tangible things to actually get things done. So I'm excited to see that happen. I just want to use this as another moment to say we need to pour as much love into these students as possible. To Ms. Fabian's point, it takes 3 affirmations to overcome one deficit framing sentence or critique that we're giving our students. Kids want to be loved. They want to enjoy school. So our families, our staff, everyone needs to pull together to make sure that we are pouring as much positivity into these students as we can. I know our student board members are also very targeted in getting that done, so I'm very excited to see how we can maintain that throughout the full year, not just these first couple of weeks. And then also I do want to give my personal condolences to the Shipley family. I know there was a funeral this weekend and I was not able to attend, but we are very thankful for the service that he provided to this district.
Thank you. Ms. Gonzalez.
I wanted to wish everybody a really great start of the school year. I know that a lot of anxiety arises during this time, especially for our teachers and staff. It is a really big lift to, come out of summer and get ready for the school year. And I also wanted to say that, especially to our students who maybe are entering high school for the very first time or thinking about what they want to do after, that the way that you conduct yourself, the way that you dress, can be very, very personal to you. And I will be the only one that probably feels comfortable saying that, in addition to Board Member Lensing. But there's a time and a place for everything, right? And your actions have consequences. And like I've said in previous board meetings, if you start straying on your path, you could always come back. And there's people willing to help you. So ask for help and don't feel like you don't have people in your corner. I think, like everyone was saying, and some of the testimony that we had heard from students directly, is that they feel like they can't confide in anyone and they don't have anybody rooting for them. And that starts with shifting the way that we welcome students into the school year, into our classrooms, into the environments that they're performing for us in. And I do want to just give a thank you to everybody who's helped us get to this point, and who worked over the summer, doing all these volunteer events. I really hope that we see more progress, and I look forward to the events that we had mentioned.
Thank you. Ms. Fabian.
I want to quickly plug the becomeateacher.com website. That's a big $6 million initiative that ISB is pushing to help those interested in working in the classroom. We still have vacancies. We started yesterday, but we still have positions to fill. So if anybody is interested in pathways to coming and joining the district or working in a classroom, whether it's a substitute teacher, para, or full-time teacher, you can visit that website and find out more information and have somebody contact you and walk you through the process for that, because we really do need great supportive staffs for our students to be successful, and also for the staff that we do have, right, so that they have others to lean on, colleagues to lean on. So again, becomeateacher.com. And then the other point I wanted to make is, this was the first time in 20 years that I have not attended the back to school kickoff, so it was I always look forward to those. I did have some family obligations, so I was unable to attend, but I wish everybody a productive school year, and I heard it was an amazing event. And I just would like to echo the sentiment that Mr. Ewing said earlier. I would love to support every event in the district. That just isn't possible. And I believe we are all here as volunteers because we all care about the district. And so just echoing the sentiment that we do have families, we do have careers, we have other obligations in our lives. And so while we would love to be at everything, sometimes we have other obligations that prevent us from being there. That doesn't mean we don't care. But the sooner that you invite us and the sooner that we have a calendar out, the easier it is for us to plan around those things. Unfortunately, there are some things that you can't plan around, right? So my child graduated on July 27th, which was the back to school kickoff. And so I was really sad to miss that. But again, it's not because I don't care. It's because we do have other obligations. So if the sooner you send us invitations, the better for us to plan around to be there for you.
Thank you, Ms. Fabian. Ms. Hannah.
I forgot that I have to give kudos to the staff at Brookside campus on the first day, and I also have to give kudos to the superintendent, Dr. Cesario, Mr. Riddle, and it was just really good. I mean, when I first arrived at the school, I was outside, and I was watching, and I'm seeing mountains of children, okay, just standing out there, right? And so I did that and kind of helped outside a little bit, but then I went on the inside. The way that they were getting those students through security, it was just amazing. And you know, it was just constant. And I turned around, I'm like, well, where's our kids? And they were already gone. They went through, they had their everything they needed once they got in the building. And so just kudos to the Brookside campus. That's one that I was concerned about. I'm still concerned about it. I'm out there, was out there today, just being there just as a presence for students. And I tell you one thing I found out though, that a lot of the students that are, it's 87 degrees outside, right? And they have on these big, thick hoodies and sweatshirts and everything. And it was one student that was there. And he looked like he was getting ready to pass out. He said, oh, I just don't feel good. I said, well, you have on all that heavy. And I reached down, and it was winter clothing. And he said, oh, well, where I come from, I keep my skin covered up so it won't burn. I said, I understand. And I explained to him to let your body get some air. And he was miserable. He took the hoodie part off. He had a long sleeve shirt on, but it was thinner. And I say, now, doesn't that feel better? He say, yeah. I say, well, you just have to let your body breathe. Let your body breathe. And one, it's just too hot for you to have on all of those clothes. But that took me somewhere else, and how much our students really don't know, you know. and things that they need to know. Just, I heard it said life skills. And so, but Brookside, I saw calmness that I haven't seen in a year ago, a couple years ago. But I'm seeing a calmness in the campus over there for the first 2 days. I'm going to continue to be there to see, you know, so, but it was a good first day and second day.
Thank you, Ms. Anna. Yeah, I've spoken enough this evening. With that, I'd like a motion to go into closed session under exception C11 and exception C21 and C1, specific personnel. We got a motion by Mr. McBride, seconded by Ms. Gonzalez. Roll call.
Mr. McBride?
Yes.
Ms. Fabian?
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
Ms. Lenzing?
Yes.
President Ewing?
Yes, we are now in closed session. Can